Hi again, everybody, and welcome to our first Furman football preview video of the 2024 season. It is week one. It is finally here, and the Paladins opening the season on the road at number 6 Ole Miss. I am Dan Scott. It is great to have you with us. Hope that you are as excited about the start of this season as I am, beginning my 14th year as the voice of the Paladins. Just blessed to have the opportunity to bring you the action week in and week out on our flagship station, the Fan Upstate. David Cobb, Tom Van Hoy will be with us as always. We said goodbye to Marcus McMorris after last season. Marcus, with job and family duties that kept him from coming back again this year, but had 7 great years with him. And I suspect, before everything is all said and done, that we will hear something from Mr. McMorris before the year is done. This is a different-looking Furman Paladins team. Yes, there are some familiar names out there, as you know, but 41 seniors walked at the end of last year. So when you talk about returning starters and depth, there are going to be a ton of names on this team that you are not necessarily familiar with. When you look at the makeup of the roster, about half of the active roster is going to be freshmen and redshirt freshmen in 2024. Of course, there are some familiar names. The wide receiver room is stacked with a lot of familiar talent and some very exciting young newcoming talent as well. The running backs, Mayan Hicks, Grant Robinson, names that you are familiar with, young men who are going to step into primary roles as this season gets underway. And, of course, at quarterback, Carson Jones returns. He started a couple of games last year. The memorable game that he came in when Tyler Huff was injured on the road at Chattanooga and engineered 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives that allowed the Paladins to win that game and continue their march toward what became a number 7 national seed in the playoffs. But you're going to hear quite a bit, I would imagine, before the year is over about true freshman Trey Hedden. He was able to enroll in the spring, went through spring practice. He is a young man that has been pushing Carson Jones. You will probably see both of them play at Ole Miss. So the quarterback position is going to look different. The offensive line, as you know, is going to be full of new starters, guys who have played some significant snaps across that front line, but this will be the first time that they are thrust into a situation where they are expected to be the proverbial bell cows at their position, and that also includes one youngster up front too. So the dynamic of the offensive line, the front 7 defensively is going to have some familiar names, but it's also going to have, if you include the back end, guys who are going to be getting their first appreciable playing time for Furman this season. But talking with Coach Clay Hendricks, as I did this week, and defensive coordinator Dwayne Vaughn, both of them extremely excited about the young talent that's kind of been waiting in the wings for an opportunity to take over and get those significant snaps. And that's what this program is all about. As you know, this program is about development. This is not a program that's going to go heavy into the transfer portal to remake or replenish a roster. Yeah, there are the occasional transfers, as we have seen, picking and choosing the right guy, getting the graduates in here maybe for a year. But by and large, this is now, has been, and always will continue to be a developmental program, and that means that young guys are going to come in, most of them are going to redshirt, and then they are going to move their way up the ladder as their careers go on, and we're going to see some of that this year. I'm telling you, talking to the coaches, and you have been in this business as long as I have, I'm in my 39th year in the media, you can sniff out coach speak pretty well. I don't sense that here. I sense a legitimate excitement for the young talent on this team. Are they going to have some growing pains? Absolutely, they're going to have growing pains. No question about it. And a lot of those growth pains are going to be exposed very early on this week at Ole Miss. But after this week, when we get back into FCS play for the next 11 weeks, 3 non-conference games after Ole Miss, and then the 8-game conference schedule. By the time we get to the SoCon, I suspect this team is going to be playing in a pretty good rhythm and getting itself set for what's going to be another gauntlet of a conference run. But the task at hand is going in to face number 6 Ole Miss, and their head coach Lane Kiffin is in his 5th season with the Rebels. You can see his overall record at Ole Miss there at 34-15. Very successful pretty much everywhere he's been as a college coach. He's 5 wins shy of 100 for his career, and below that you see Clay Hendricks. His head coaching experience has all come at Furman in his 8th season as we kick off on Saturday night. 51-29, his overall record. You know, when we go to put together a preview and get ready for a game broadcast, you look for the other team's game notes. They will traditionally, and underline that word traditionally, put out an expected 2-deep depth chart during the course of the early part of the week, and you start to piece and put things together there. That has not been the case with Ole Miss. We were told early on that they were not going to have an official 2-deep until we arrive at the stadium on Saturday, but we have been able to go to some different sources. The newspaper there, the Clarion Ledger, a couple of internet sites, podcasts that I've done with people who cover Ole Miss this year, and specifically David Kellum, the play-by-play guy at Ole Miss, was a big help in at least giving us an idea of what the Rebels are going to look like. The first thing is they are going to be very, very talented. They are our preseason number 6 in the country as we speak, predicted to win the SEC West and play in the Southeastern Conference Championship game. They are going to be very deep. They have a lot of returning talent, but they have also added an influx of transfers, 25, I believe, or maybe more. The transfers, though, in this case, maybe unlike some other cases you see, is not just to replenish or fill roster spots, but this has added some depth to what was already a pretty good team. Now, having said that, for instance, you look across the offensive line for the Rebels, and you're going to see at least 3 transfers who are going to be playing, 2 of them coming in from the University of Washington, who played, of course, for the national championship last year. Both of the guards, left guard Nate Kalepo and right guard Julius Bulow, are transfers. And the tight end is a transfer from Memphis. That is Caden Priestcorn. Wide receiver, Trey Harris, a transfer from Louisiana Tech. You have a backup wide receiver in Micah Davis. This will be his 4th team that he has played for. He started his career at Air Force, then Iowa Western Community College, last year Utah State. Just kind of give you a flavor of what they are doing to add depth to their roster. But their offense is going to start with their fine quarterback, Jackson Dart. This is the first time I was reading about Ole Miss, and this is the first time that Dart went into a camp where he wasn't really competing for a job. This is the first time he went in as a clear number 1. But boy, did he have a great year in 2023. The USC transfer threw for 3,363 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. They are a team that is going to go fast. They are going to play that tempo game and try to get teams in that track meet, that basketball on grass that we talk about. The good news from a Furman standpoint is we've talked to Dwayne Vaughn and some of the other coaches this week. It's not going to catch them by surprise. Ole Miss is going to go fast, but they're not going to go faster than Samford. And in fact, defensively, Dwayne Vaughn has taken the Samford practice model and put it in play this week preparing for Ole Miss, and that actually has the Furman offense running faster than what the Ole Miss offense probably will go in the game. Now, having said all that, we know we're talking about a Power 4 team with a lot of great athletes, a lot of depth. We know what the challenges are going to be. But what this coaching staff is doing is they're preparing, like they always do, to give their team the best chance to win the game, and then looking at what happens in this game, getting all that on film and using it to get better starting the following week when we open here at Paladins Stadium against Charleston Southern in FU After Dark, the trilogy. And then you have Charleston Southern, Stetson, William and Mary to close out the non-conference portion of the schedule before you begin the SoCon schedule the next week. So we know what the challenge is going to be. The atmosphere is going to be electric at Ole Miss. The crowd noise, Clay Hendricks telling me, probably be the only time this year that the crowd noise will really be a factor, but it's nothing that they haven't seen before or prepared for before. In comparing this team to some of the other FBS teams that Furman has played in recent years, Clay told me maybe 2018 Clemson, which of course went on to win the national championship, and in 2021, the North Carolina State team that beat Furman handily in Raleigh, and the next week beat Clemson. So those are the closest comparisons that he could come up with as to this Ole Miss team. He believes that this will probably be the best, most deepest FBS team that they have played in his tenure, at least to this point. The rest of the schedule, we're recording this and dropping it on Thursday of this week because of travel tomorrow. So hopefully you're watching this on Thursday, and we'll be talking about these upcoming games tonight involving SoCon teams. If you're watching it Friday or after, then you already know the results of these games. But speaking of NC State, Western Carolina will be opening at the Wolfpack in Raleigh, a 7 o'clock kickoff on the ACC network. VMI will be going to William and Mary, also 7 o'clock. In fact, all of these are 7 o'clock games. Mercer opens up at home with Presbyterian, and Wofford will be on the road at Gardner-Webb. Those are all tonight, Thursday night games. And then Saturday, Chattanooga at Tennessee, a 12:45 kick on the SEC network. ETSU will be at Appalachian State, 3:30 p.m. ESPN+. Sanford will be at West Georgia, 6 p.m. on ESPN+. The Citadel, Crosstown at Charleston Southern, 6 p.m. ESPN+. And, of course, Furman and Ole Miss at 7 o'clock on ESPN+ and the SEC network. So we hope that you will join us. We know that there are going to be some watch parties and other things going on. We always encourage you, hey, watch the broadcast. But technology allows you to sync up the radio broadcast, either listening online or listening live over our flagship station, the Fan Upstate. Want you to listen to the broadcast if you can, and we'll have the Pepsi Countdown to Kickoff from Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford on Saturday afternoon, beginning at 5:30 p.m. with the kick at 7. And you can listen live on 97.7 and 97.1 FM in the Upstate and online at Odyssey.com. The Fan Upstate, our flagship station. I am incredibly excited to get this season underway. Can't wait and look forward to bringing you all the action all season long of Furman football beginning this week at number 6 Ole Miss. We will talk to you from the stadium on Saturday. Until then, as always, I'm Dan Scott. God bless you. So long, everybody.